It's interesting and also quite sad how many men suffer with overactive bladder symptoms, like having to pee all the time, urinary frequency, urinary hesitancies, difficulty starting the flow, and other things like this. And they have no idea that it could be related to their pelvic floor muscles in this region of the body. Seemingly just more of a potential bacterial infection or some problem with the bladder or the urethra. Now, this obviously is the case in some situations, but in others, pelvic floor tension is really the culprit. I want to share a success story of a gentleman who did the Overcome Pelvic Pain program, who will keep anonymous. So he made a post in our community and he mentioned, about 3 days after a very memorable event where I was forced to hold my urine for 2 hours, I began having urinary issues, which quickly progressed. And this happened 6 years ago, by the way. So this has been a 6-year-long journey. It wasn't something that happened last week. It can really fly under your radar if you don't know that this is a possibility. So what happened here is, if you look at our pelvic floor dysfunction cycle, the stressor, that's the initiating event. This could be something like this, holding your urine for longer than you'd like, or it could be an emotional reaction, a traumatic moment. There are a lot of possible stressors, but in this case, in his story, right in his life, this was that stressor. And then that next thing would be the nervous system responding. The nervous system started to respond with urinary frequency and pain while urination. Prior to this event, he never even thought about his pelvic area or his prostate. So there started to be concern and worry because the body wasn't functioning appropriately. So he was diagnosed with prostatitis and given many rounds of antibiotics with no relief. So there is an underlying tension that was created that wasn't really noticed, and a lot of other approaches such as using antibiotics, clearing out bacteria, which is fine to test, but if that's not working, there's something else deeper going on. And he says several years later, after dealing with on and off again easing and worsening of the symptoms, he met with a new urologist. It was another old school urologist. They did all the typical tests, nothing happened. And then he finally got another second opinion, and someone mentioned this could be caused by pelvic muscle tension and inflammation, not just something going on with the prostate or with the bladder. And that's how he ended up finding our Overcome Pelvic Pain program. He said he signed up, and from the first few days, quickly noticed through doing the program how much tension he had in his pelvic area. So it was something that was there, but if you don't have an awareness of it or even to look for it, it's not a blaring pain, and it is for some people, but in this case, he wasn't experiencing a blaring pain in his pelvic floor, so he didn't notice the tension as much. Just like many people have a lot of tension in their shoulders and their neck in a way that's very unhealthy, but they don't even know that it's there. He said, my urinary issues have dramatically eased to the point most nights I can go through the night without having to pee. So he's having a lot of results, a lot of improvement. He's still on his journey, going through the program and everything else. But what I wanted to point out here is that if you look at our pelvic floor dysfunction cycle, he's already had to go through the ringer, having an emotional response, chronic fight or flight, and then being highly sensitive to stressors. So that's what you can get stuck in. Now, whenever you get new information and you start having more safety come in, safety in your mind, safety in your body, like, oh, actually, there is a way out of this. There was something that I was missing. There is some new information. There's a path. There's a plan. Other people can have done this. I have some guidance. I have some assistance. That can really be calming to your nervous system, which starts to reverse the cycle. So we want to congratulate this gentleman for going down this path. But if you yourself are experiencing overactive bladder symptoms and you've done the test, you've gone through the diagnostics, you've done the things to look for anatomical structural problems, and that's not there, and you're still having these urinary issues, pelvic floor tension, pelvic floor dysfunction could very well be a possible connection for you. So I'd invite you to check out the Overcome Pelvic Pain program and commit to that if that is in alignment for you. It might be called Overcome Pelvic Pain, but it's really Overcome Overactive Bladder, Overcome Pelvic Floor Dysfunction oriented issues. It's a fully guided 12-week program. It's got the movement routines to relax and release the tension. It has the nutritional guidelines to reset the gut-brain connection and to create better functioning in your gut. And of course, the mind-body practices to wire and fire your neural circuitry and to do subconscious reprogramming back to health. So I'd love to see you in that program, and love to hear about how this video helped you.